I hear your beautiful voice, ma'am.
Oh, I am. Okay, I think Uni, where are you? Our MC. Yeah, can you come up?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
I really miss you. Yeah. So yeah, Uni, yeah. Okay, nice. Yeah, perfect. Can you handle it, Uni?
Okay,
So
could we start now, or are we still waiting for the others?
I think you can greet the participants while waiting the others, because how many of us right now? 49. So now 50.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. We have many participants here from Indonesia and from overseas. Okay. Yeah, actually, we're still waiting for the others to join us in this meeting. Hello, Ma'am Anam. So actually,
Hello.
we already have three resource speakers for today's event. Ma'am Anam and Mr. Michael already joined with us. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So actually, uh, I'm curious about the time in India, Ma'am Anam, right now.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
4:30 p.m. right now. So we are
Okay.
2 hours and 30 minutes behind Indonesia. Yeah.
Okay. How about Mr. Michael? So actually, Mr. Michael, in Baubau, right?
Yes, that's right. I'm in Baubau.
Okay. Yeah, just what I said before in our group. Actually, I have met you few weeks ago at Lipa Plaza Butan, I guess. Yeah. So when I saw your photo at the poster, I recognize you. Yeah. So I think I have met you before.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So I've been in Baubau for 5 years now.
Oh.
Yeah, beautiful place.
Yes. And you become one of the teacher in uh, English organization here, like to teach English for everyone here, students right here.
Yeah. So I'm working at a language center in Baobao, and there's actually quite a few of our staff who joined this evening too. I can see them around the Zoom.
I think so you said before it's already around 4 till 5 years here in Indonesia, right? So
Yeah.
I guess you can speak bahasa.
Yeah. Yes. So bisa bahasa Indonesia. But I think this evening or this afternoon, because it's an international webinar,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
be using English. And I've also just started learning Bahasa Volio also, which is
Oh,
really, really exciting.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, Okay, bersama kita and in our Zoom meeting right now, sudah bergabung juga. Saya ingin menyapa terlebih dahulu Bapak Rektor kita, our Chancellor, Bapak Laude Muhammad Samsul Kamar. Selamat bergabung, Bapak. Kemudian telah membersamai kita juga Direktur Pasca Sarjana, Bapak Profesor Dr. Andi Tenri, Magister Sains. Selamat malam dan selamat bergabung, Bapak.
Ya, selamat malam. Terima kasih.
Ya. Dan tentunya Bapak Ibu peserta dari seluruh Indonesia dan juga all participants from overseas, welcome in our meeting, our webinar international today. Hello, Ma'am Anam.
Hello.
Okay, while waiting, could you please share with us? Actually, I want to learn more about India. I'm curious about India, especially about education there. How about the specific one is how to get scholarship to go in India, to learn in India. Maybe you can share about that with
Yeah,
us.
thank you for the question. Have you ever been to India before?
No, I'm not, but I hope someday later I can go there.
Yeah, so in India, for the education system, we have different kinds of universities. Some are private, some are government funded. So, mostly the central universities in India, which are almost like 24, 25 in number, those universities mostly have scholarships for international students. IFLU being one of them that Nani had done her PhD from, and she was my batchmate there, my friend there. So you can apply it through the government portal of MHRD, and that's how the process starts. You will be called for interview, maybe online interview, and then through embassy you can just come to India. Now, I think the relation between India and Indonesia is very friendly, so there's no issue at all. We have a lot of Indonesian students here as well studying in different parts, especially in New Delhi, because that is the capital of India. So we have a lot of students there as well. So you can try for Jamia, JNU, DU. All these are good places to study here as well. Yeah. But you need
Interesting.
definitely English language. So Michael would be very helpful in that as well, because he's teaching English language to the students there. So it will be a nice opportunity for students to go abroad, because English is our second language in India. So most of the works here are done in English, the official works, especially.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Thank you, Ma'am Anam.
Yeah. Welcome.
Okay, actually, we have our another resource speaker here already joined with us, Mr. Abdul Halim. Hello. Hello, Kak. Good evening, Kak
Good
Halim.
evening. Yeah, good evening. How are you, everyone?
So, Kak Halim live in which part of Indonesia, Kak?
Kendari.
Oh, Kendari.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's far from, I think you live far from Baubau, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm originally from
actually,
Baubau.
yeah, it's near. I think it's far. How are you, Kak Halim?
I'm good. And I hope everyone is also very good. Am I audible?
Yes,
Okay,
your
that's
voice is
great.
audible.
Thank you.
Okay, we will start our event this night. Okay. Is my voice audible?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. We would like to inform you that tonight's event is being broadcast live through the official YouTube channel of Dayanu Ikhsanuddin University and is also being covered by Buton Post. For your information, this webinar is organized by the Master Program in English, Dayanu Ikhsanuddin University, Baubau, in collaboration with English Study Program of Dayanu Ikhsanuddin University, Unidayan English Students Association, Interkultural Edukasi Partner, Yayasan Edukasi dan Wisata, Rumah Edukasi, MGMP Bahasa Inggris Buton Selatan, and Halim Bubu Angin Alterasi. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
The Honorable, the Chancellor of Dayanu Ikhsanuddin University, Bapak Insinyur Laode Muhammad Samsul Kamar, Magister Teknik, Insinyur Profesional Utama, the Honorable, the Director of Postgraduate Program of Dayanu Ikhsanuddin University, Bapak Profesor Dr. Andi Tenri, Magister Science, and also the Honorable, our extraordinary resource speakers in today's event, Ma'am Anam, MA, Ph.D. from Hyderabad, India, Mr. Abdul Halim, Ph.D. from Indonesia, Mr. Michael Llyod, Deacon, M.TESOL from Australia, the Honorable, the H.O.D. Postgraduate Program of Dayanu Ikhsanuddin University, Ma'am Nani Cahyani, M.Hum, Ph.D., the Honorable Head of the English Education Study Program, Bapak Baharudin SPD, our respected lecturers of Dayanu Ikhsanuddin University who have taken the opportunity to attend this evening. We also welcome the Honorable Professor Dr. Maimuna Muhyang, Magister Pendidikan, Professor of the Postgraduate Program in English Language Education, Makassar State University, for taking the time to join us today. We would also like to extend our warm greetings to the head of Delima Internasional, Ma'am Carol Nix, Ph.D. and team. We would also like to warmly welcome the leaders of our partner organizations who have joined us this night. Nurziana, the chairperson of Unidayan English Students Association, Mr. Yamin M.TESOL, the chairperson of MGMP Bahasa Inggris Buton Selatan and Rumah Edukasi, Mem Woode Vivinianti, SPD, the chairperson of Intercultural Edukasi Partner, Mr. Laode Imanuddin SPD, the chairperson of Yayasan Edukasi dan Wisata, and Mr. Muhammad Rizal Azana SP, the chairperson of Halim Bubu Angin Alterasi. The distinguished participants from all around the world. We would also like to extend our warmest welcome to our distinguished participants joining from different regions and countries. From Indonesia, we have participants from Bandung, Papua, Makassar, Kendari, Pematang Siantar, Maluku Utara, Lampung, and Merauke. Meanwhile, from overseas, we have Madina Kon Irsalieva from Uzbekistan, Haninatul Shahidah Bintilahi from Malaysia, Margarita Megalikasser from Malta, Dilfuza Amonova from Germany, Yamna Ehtesam, Mukesh Pradhan, and Raksha Asoka from India. Namaste. Kami menyapa Bapak Ibu peserta dari dalam negeri. Selamat malam dan selamat bergabung Bapak Ibu. Good evening from Baubau, Indonesia. Peace be upon you and warm greetings to everyone. Welcome to the international webinar entitled Engage Pedagogy and Literary Inquiry, Empowering Students to Question, Resist, and Transform Their Societies. We are truly honored and delighted to have you all here today in Zoom meeting. This meaningful academic forum marks a valuable opportunities for educators, scholars, and students from different backgrounds and countries to exchange ideas, broaden perspectives, and strengthen international academic collaboration. I'm Nur Wahyuni, Master Students in English Language Education, and it's my great pleasure to be the Master of Ceremony for this inspiring event tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, to begin today's agenda, we would like to invite the Director of Postgraduate Program of Dayanu Ikhsanuddin University to deliver the welcoming speech. Mengawali agenda kita pada hari ini, kami mengundang kesediaan Direktur Pasca Sarjana Unidayan untuk memberikan sambutan. Kepada Bapak Profesor Dr. Andi Tanri, Magister Sains, time is yours. Dengan hormat, kami persilahkan.
Ya, baik. Terima kasih moderator Nur Wahyuni ya. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam.
Selamat malam dan salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Pertama-tama yang saya hormati Bapak Rektor Unidayan sudah bersama kita pada malam hari ini. Terkhusus kepada para narasumber yang sempat saya lihat baca ini, ada dari India ya, Hyderabad, Mrs. Dr. Anam. Terus ada Pak Abdul Halim dan juga ada Bapak Mitchell dari Australia kalau tidak salah dengar tadi kan. Nah, ini Pak Mitchell ini tadi katanya bisa berbahasa Indonesia, bahkan bisa berbahasa Wolio ya. Nah, ini saya kira ini satu hal yang sangat surprise kita pada malam hari ini. Yang saya hormati Ibu Dr. Cahyani, Ketua Program Studi, beserta para dosen dan staf yang sempat hadir pada malam ini. Dan terkhusus kepada para peserta, baik dari dalam negeri maupun dari luar negeri. Selamat semua bergabung pada acara atau webinar internasional yang dilaksanakan oleh program studi pendidikan bahasa Inggris, program pasca sarjana Universitas Dayanu Ikhsanuddin Baubau. Bapak Rektor yang saya hormati dan juga seluruh peserta yang saya muliakan. Kegiatan webinar semacam ini sudah menjadi program rutin atau program yang terus-menerus kita kembangkan, kita laksanakan di program studi pasca sarjana, program studi bahasa Inggris ya pasca sarjana Unidayan. Nah, ini dikandung maksud selain kita ingin mengembangkan terus kompetensi bahasa Inggris pada mahasiswa kita, juga kemampuan institusi di dalam membangun relasi atau kerjasama dengan pihak-pihak eksternal. Nah, sudah yang webinar malam ini sudah yang kesekian kalinya dan selalu melibatkan pihak eksternal, terutama partisipan-partisipan dari luar. Malam ini kita mendengar tadi ada dari India, dari Universitas Hyderabad kalau tidak salah tadi ya disebut ya. Itu terus ada juga dari dalam negeri Abdul Halim dan ada dari Australia Bapak Michel. Ya. Nah, kita berharap ke depan kegiatan ini akan kita perluas dalam tidak hanya sebatas webinar saja, tetapi kita berharap itu kita buat kerjasama secara institusional, secara melembaga. Ini harapan kami supaya selain berkontribusi positif terhadap mahasiswa, juga besar pengaruhnya terhadap pengembangan institusi kita. Ya, saya kira itu yang terus kita harapkan. Karena itu kita berharap pada Bapak Rektor untuk memberi dukungan sepenuhnya terhadap kegiatan ini ke depan. Dan khusus pada malam hari ini saya atas nama pimpinan pasca sarjana mengundang dengan hormat kepada Bapak Rektor untuk nanti memberi juga sambutan sekaligus membuka kegiatan ini secara resmi. Nah, itu. Yang berikut terhadap peserta baik dari dalam negeri maupun dari luar negeri dan khusus kepada para narasumber, kami mengucapkan terima kasih yang sebesar-besarnya atas partisipasi, atas kesediaan dan waktu yang diberikan untuk bisa hadir di dalam mendukung kegiatan webinar kita pada malam hari ini. Semoga ke depan kegiatan-kegiatan semacam ini kita tentu berharap kerjasama itu terus bisa berlanjut supaya kontribusinya terhadap pengembangan institusi kami itu bisa menjadi lebih baik. Saya kira itu yang saya dapat sampaikan. Sebelum saya akhiri lagi, saya mohon maaf, mohon pada Bapak Rektor untuk juga memberi sambutan sekaligus membuka kegiatan ini. Demikian yang saya dapat sampaikan. Terima kasih atas perhatiannya. Wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ya, terima kasih kami ucapkan kepada Bapak Direktur Pasca Sarjana untuk welcoming speech yang sangat menginspirasi. Thank you very much to the Director of Postgraduate Program for the inspiring welcoming remarks. From the speech, we learned the importance of academic collaboration, critical thinking, and transformative education through international discussion and knowledge sharing. Hopefully, this webinar will provide meaningful insights and strengthen educational development for all participants. All right, the next agenda, we are honored to invite the Chancellor of Dayanu Ikhsanuddin University to deliver the speech, as well as officially open this international event. Selanjutnya, sambutan Rektor Unidayan sekaligus membuka dengan resmi kegiatan malam hari ini. Kepada Bapak Insinyur Llyod Muhammad Samsul Kamar, Magister Teknik, Insinyur Profesional Utama, dengan hormat disilahkan.
Baik, Eh, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Baik, pertama-tama tentunya kita bersyukur kehadirat Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, yang mana pada malam hari ini kita melaksanakan kegiatan yang luar biasa menurut saya, yang sangat baik, yang diselenggarakan oleh program pasca jurusan bahasa Inggris Unidayan. Baik, tentunya pertama tentunya juga kami hormati para narasumber. Dalam hal ini saya lihat tadi ada 3 dari Ibu Dr. Anam, MA, Ph.D. dari University India. Dia terima kasih atas partisipasinya pada hari ini. Demikian pula kepada Bapak Abdul Halim dari IAIN dari, kalau nggak salah, Bapak IAIN, Bapak Abdul Halim Ph.D. Kemudian ada Bapak Michael Llyod, Deacon dari Monash University Australia. Ini 3 narasumber yang kami hormati. Terima kasih atas partisipasinya dalam kegiatan ini. Kemudian juga yang kami hormati Bapak Direktur Pasca Sarjana Unidayan, para peserta panitia juga dari hari ini, dari program studi bahasa Inggris dari Unidayan, serta seluruh peserta baik di dalam negeri maupun di luar negeri. Pada kesempatan ini tentunya saya sangat berterima kasih pertama atas penyelenggaraan ini oleh Pasca Sarjana Unidayan, karena dengan adanya ini tentunya akan memacu untuk kegiatan-kegiatan yang baik lagi di masa-masa yang akan datang. Tentunya diharapkan bahwa dengan adanya ini akan memberikan wawasan bagi kita semua, bagi para peserta, khususnya juga kami harapkan dari mahasiswa Unidayan yang sempat mengikuti barangkali juga punya pengalaman sebagai penyelenggara dari program pasca sarjana Hidayat dari bahasa Inggris. Kegiatan ini tentunya kami harapkan juga tetap, ya, selain webinar mungkin bisa juga nanti dilaksanakan secara offline barangkali. Tentunya karena ini sangat baik sekali bagi perkembangan institusi. Jadi saya kira itu barangkali kami selaku pimpinan Unidayan sangat mendukung kegiatan ini. Semoga dapat berjalan dengan baik dan dapat dikembangkan selanjutnya. Saya kira itu barangkali yang kami dapat sampaikan pada kesempatan ini. Jadi kami sekali lagi kami ucapkan terima kasih kepada seluruh peserta webinar dan para narasumber, seluruh panitia yang melaksanakan kegiatan ini. Saya kira demikian, dan dengan ucapan Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, kegiatan webinar internasional yang dilaksanakan oleh program studi Magister Bahasa Inggris Universitas Dayanu saya nyatakan dibuka dengan resmi. Sekali demikian, mohon maaf atas kekurangan dan sekali lagi kami ucapkan terima kasih. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Pak Rektor, for the inspiring words and meaningful speech. We truly appreciate your commitment to collaboration. Through the speech, we are reminded that education should empower students to think critically, express their ideas, and contribute positively to society. We also hope this webinar can strengthen international academic collaboration and inspire innovative educational practices in the future. Alright, sebelum memulai webinar pada hari ini, kami ucapkan banyak terima kasih kepada Bapak Rektor dan Pak Direktur Program Pasca Sarjana Unidayan atas sambutan dan kesediaannya membersamai kita semua di kegiatan ini. Selanjutnya kami persilahkan dengan hormat untuk menuju ke agenda berikutnya. Namun, sebelum meninggalkan Zoom, mohon kesediaan Bapak Rektor dan Pak Direktur untuk berfoto bersama terlebih dahulu. Kepada Bapak Ibu peserta, mohon untuk menyalakan kamera. For the purpose of taking photos with the Chancellor and Postgraduate Director, we invite all participants to turn on their cameras. Ma'am Yuli, could you help me with the documentation? Okay. I will count 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay. Okay, once more. Everyone, please turn on your camera. We move to the next slide. Yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Alright. Terima kasih sekali lagi kami sampaikan kepada Bapak Rektor yang terhormat dan Pak Direktur.
Terima kasih.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we now come to the main session of today's webinar, the presentation from our distinguished resource speakers. This session will be divided into 3 presentations with different topics and guided by 3 moderators. The first session with Ma'am Anam will be moderated by Shifa Lutfia Marikar, a 6th semester student at Unidayan, an English tutor at Rumah Edukasi, and a facilitator at Taman Baca Yayasan Mitra Pengembangan Indonesia, the 5 Batch 2. And the second session with Mr. Abdul Halim will be moderated by Waode Afrianti, a 6th semester student at Unidayan. Just like Shifa, Afrianti is also an English tutor at Rumah Edukasi and a facilitator at Taman Baca Yayasan Mitra Pengembangan Indonesia, the 5 Batch 2. She focuses on the development of children's education and literacy. And the third session with Mr. Michael Llyod Deacon will be moderated by Restiawati, an 8th semester student in the English Education Department at Unidayan, and she previously participated in a university-level public speaking competition and the national-level English Expo in 2024, held by Halu Oleo University in Kendari. Please give a round of applause to our 3 resource speakers and our 3 moderators. All right, we now move on to the first session. To the moderator, Shifa, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, please take over the session.
Am I audible?
Yeah, your voice is audible.
Okay, thank you to the Master of Ceremony for the opportunity given to me. Now it is my great pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Anam M.A. Ph.D. Dr. Anam is a literary scholarship specializing in postcolonial theory, peace studies, and spatial humanities. She earned her Ph.D. from the English and Foreign Language University with a dissertation titled Spatial Humanities Towards a New Paradigm of Peace in the Israeli-Palestinian Conundrum. She has published widely on Israeli and Palestinian literature, identity politics, and culture memory, including the Tapaluk Shalom Salam Interfaces in Israel and Palestine 2020. She has presented her research at international conferences in India, Israel, and Indonesia, and was awarded the Gandhi Fellowship 2017 until 2019 for the leadership and societal development. Hello, Ma'am Anam.
Hello, Safia.
How are you, ma'am?
I'm good. Thank you.
It's great to be here with you.
It's good to
Anyway,
see
could
you
you
all
please
today.
tell
Yeah.
us? Uh, anyway, could you please tell us a little bit about your scholastic journey?
Okay, yeah. So when I was doing my PhD in EFL University, Hyderabad, so one thing was in my mind because I'm a student of literature. So one thing was in my mind since beginning that I want to work on something which is very contemporary, which connects to my times. So I took this challenge of working on this very difficult issue of Israeli and Palestinian conflict. And through the perspective of literature, I worked on the scholarship. So I was given a scholarship by the government, and I went to the land there and stayed there for 9 months in both Israel and Palestine. And that's how I wrote a book after coming back. That is my travelogue. This is Shalom Salam Interfaces in Israel and Palestine. So, this is basically uh, a sum of my experience on the land that I conducted there, a lot of interviews with the academicians, writers there. So, my proposal was that literature could offer some solutions to this conflict given a chance. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma'am Anam, for sharing an inspiring academic journey with us.
Thank you.
And I heard you also have book named Shalom Salam. I saw the reviews about the book, and it talks about communities, people, and culture in Palestine and Israel. This is really impressive. I'm really interested to read the book, ma'am.
Sure, I'll send you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Okay, our first topic is Literature for Liberation, the Power of Engaged Pedagogy. This presentation will help us understand how education and literature can encourage critical thinking, active learning, and social awareness. Through the discussion, we'll gain deeper insight into how classroom can become meaningful spaces for dialogue, reflection, and social transformation. Hopefully, this session can inspire us to create more meaningful and engaging learning experiences. And now, I would like to invite Ma'am Anam to begin the presentation. The time is yours, ma'am.
Thank you so much. So, good evening, everyone, my Indonesian brothers and sisters and friends from all over the world. Myself, Dr. Anam from India. I hold a PhD in English literature from the EFL University, Hyderabad, India, and I'm the author of the book. As you already mentioned, Shifa already mentioned, Shalom Salam Interfaces in Israel and Palestine, which is essentially a travelogue of my 9 months long journey into the land of Israel and Palestine and the research I conducted there with regards to the conflict between the two nations and how literature can provide us some solutions. Okay, so thank you all for giving me this opportunity today to talk about something very crucial and important to all of us since we are all connected to the institutions of learning. I want to talk about pedagogy, the art and science of learning, and the role of literature in aiding engaged pedagogy. Can I have the first slide, please? Safia, can I have the first slide, please? I'm sorry you're not audible.
You are audible, ma'am. Wait, I will. Okay, ma'am, maybe we will wait a sec before the slide is ready.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. Wait, ma'am, the connecting is bad here.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am, maybe before the slide is ready, I want to ask you one question more.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so what inspired you to study literature? What the most inspiring thing when you choose literature study?
I think it fascinates me to know more about human beings itself, more than other things, like because literature ultimately deals with human beings, their values, their life. So I wanted to go deep into this aspect. So I was always fascinated with reading texts, novels since my childhood. And yeah, it's here. So when I was very small, I also wrote a short story, and that won me first prize in the entire national uh, Indian. Okay, it's already here. So that gave me the first prize in a national prize for that short story. So that also fascinated me and motivated me to pursue further with literature. Yeah, it's here.
Okay, thank you,
Okay,
ma'am. The slide is already here, so the time is yours, ma'am.
okay. Can we move to the second slide, please? So I already talked about my book and the fellowship. So we can go to the next slide now. All right. You know, the greatest crisis knocking on the doors of our institutions of learning today is justifying its relevance in an age dominated by artificial intelligence. There's flood of information everywhere at the click of your fingertips, but rarely deep understanding about ourselves or our surroundings. Our planet is filled with technically trained people who know how to make a profit, but not how to make someone smile. With obtuse imagination, they are not in a position to critically engage with the surrounding or accept different ways of thinking, thereby turning intolerant towards others. So it's a high time we engage with the issue of crisis in the discipline of learning itself and look at some plausible solutions. All right, first I'll talk to you in brief about the crisis that has befallen the human species and by extension their centers of learning, particularly the discipline of humanities and literature, since it deals with the study of human life. And then I'll propose the paradigm of engaged pedagogy through literature as a potential solution. Crisis in human condition. First is the trap of hyper individualism. The triumph of humans as the most dominant species on the planet has led to serious discoordination on both intra and interspecies levels. On the one hand, humans have lost contact with their natural dwelling on way to hyper urbanization. They also got dissociated with their fellow beings, with cutthroat competition and a system of nuclear family. Second, faulty understanding of human nature. Since long, there has been a negative understanding of human nature prevailing in the society that human beings are evil and selfish beneath a thin layer of civilization. Many Western scholars like Thucydides, Augustine, Machiavelli, Hobbes, Luther, Calvin, Burke, Bentham, Nietzsche, and Freud presented their different versions of this nocebo theory. Rutger Bergman, in his book Humankind, A Hopeful History, which was published in 2020, however, challenges this thesis, suggesting that humans are capable of both immense goodness and dreadful evil. And it depends upon us as to which side of our personality we turn to and feed more. So we must be mindful of the content we consume. Third is reason as the sole source of knowledge. Since the Enlightenment movement in Europe in the 18th century, focus has shifted to reason as the primary source of knowledge. This idea has relegated the other aspects of the self, like faith, imagination, intuition, vision, and emotions, to the backseat. Researchers have, however, found that the quality that makes us truly human is our passion. And I quote from the celebrated movie Dead Poets Society, 1989, that beautifully sums up this passionate side of human personality. And the human race is filled with passion, and medicine, law, business, engineering, these are noble pursuits and necessary to sustain life. But poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for. Unquote. The estrangement or a sense of alienation in the modern man and women is due to this neglect primarily. Fourth is the unconscious micro identities. We individuals belong in concrete and abstract ways to a diverse group of things, from a specific group to the whole of human species. We all carry multiple identities with us based on our gender, religion, nation, language, race, etc. But the problem arises when we prize one single category of identity above all and consciously erase other affiliations. This is the root cause of major conflicts in the world. Next slide, please. Now let's talk about the crisis knocking on the doors of academic institutions, particularly the discipline of humanities and literature. The corporatization of higher education has endangered the humanities, which is measured on the yardstick of utility. But the larger question is, can we remain immune to a world that insists on imposing an external yardstick to measure the value of humanities in terms of its usability? The answer is human beings need both perspective as well as jobs. Humanities produces analytical skills, mastery of language, critical mind, aesthetic taste, and insights of history that might help to do research in any field. It also helps to understand and engage with our society in a better way. So let us first discuss the crisis of the discipline in details. First is the gap between theory and praxis. There appears to be a huge difference between what we read and how we live. This makes the process of learning boring, less valuable, and not worthy. Cultural and literary theories have by large been jargonistic and difficult to read. It therefore turned out to be a hurdle, an elitist hurdle, in bringing about change in society. The second is flawed understanding of education. Education is partially produced and consumed in our societies. From the teacher's perspective, their lives and minds are miles apart. Their teaching does not have an impact because what they teach and how they live does not corroborate. I'll take an example of the global peace leader Mahatma Gandhi from India. Why he was so impactful? Because he practiced what he preached first. His idea of simple living and high thinking is best materialized in his own life first. And from the student's perspective, I would say that their education should play a key role in giving directions to their lives. It should make sense in their practical life. The third is demeaning the potential of classrooms. Classrooms should be viewed as a cultural lab in the truest sense, where we practice different models of being before it is actualized in the society. It is unfortunately today felt like a prison where if you don't show obedience, you will be punished. Of course, certain level of discipline and decorum is needed, but we also need a good amount of freedom for it to be a place of possibility, a location of possibility. Fourth is logged in our professions. We must not associate our professional identity so much with our own as teachers that if someone questions our professional working, we feel as if our existence on this planet is being questioned. The greed for power is demeaning the real purpose of education, where we as teachers are more concerned with ruling our own mini kingdoms, the classroom, and least bothered with what impact our teaching is really having on students. We should not focus on being liked and admired as teachers, rather, the work we are engaged in. Reward for engaged pedagogy might not emerge immediately. The real reward is the life choices that our students make, their habits of being, So professors do have the power to change a student's life. Now let's talk about the idea of engaged pedagogy and how literature can be helpful in empowering students to question, resist, and transform their societies. Next slide, please. Students as equal contributors in learning. Not only teachers, but students are also responsible for bringing excitement to the classroom. Just think about it. If we have 20 students in a class and one topic is being discussed, we can have 21 different perspectives on that topic, including the professors. So we need to shift from this banking system of education where information is fed, memorized, and then produced at a later stage towards the idea of mutual learning. We can't say someone's experience is irrelevant, though it might appear raw in the present times, but every experience counts in the process of learning. The second is constant feedbacks are necessary. Feedbacks, which are usually given at the end of the semester, is not very helpful because the learning process is already over. Constant feedback, suggestions, interventions by the students are needed as we go along. Then only students will feel mutually responsible for the development of the learning community. Third is classroom as an experimental space. As tutors and taught, we need to cross boundaries, barriers of both our disciplines and social stratification to bring in the real joy of learning. The practice of interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary research in the domain of literature is also one such practice of breaking the stereotypical boundaries of department and propose the idea of unity of knowledge. Fourth is context is very crucial. Reading texts or reading students is no different. We cannot dissociate their context. As teachers, we must engage on a personal level with our students and their background to understand their some circumstances in a better way. Likewise, reading any text, literary text, requires a good understanding of the context of production as well. The politics of canon should also be discussed in the classrooms as to which texts are included in the syllabus and which all are left out. And we as teachers must try to include talented writers from other corners of the world as well to bring in a wholesome perspective on any topic and not just the Western scholars. Fifth is the gap between theory and praxis needs to be filled. Linking experiences to academic material is beneficial because it enhances the understanding of academic material. And in turn, the academic material systematizes our experience. So there's a mutual relation between the two. Bell Hooks, in her work, Teaching to Transgress, it's a book, proposes a manifesto for this engaged pedagogy. She suggests the wisdom of childlike mind, which creates theory every day with observation. This way of looking at the world with a fresh pair of eyes would bring in the real potential of theory and facilitate liberation. It is so because theory provides a very strong framework to carry forward any movement of resistance and bear results. Otherwise, the movement would merely be a reaction, a critical stand without any constructive measure. Sixth, engaged humanities and engaged pedagogy are mutually complementary. I believe liberation is about both liberatory knowledge and also liberatory practices in the classroom and outside. Literature provides us with the necessary philosophical pause to ponder over things obfuscated by layers of abstraction, like generalization, prejudices, and familiarity. You know, one of my professors from the university, he defined literature as strolling against the backdrop of other running discourses. Strolling somehow prolongs the time and energy we spend on the activity, in our case, on any issue, and when we delve deeper and deeper on a particular subject, we start questioning our surface level understanding about it. For example, if I talk about identity, in social terms, we take identity to be an absolute and permanent construct. However, if we read books like Susan Abul Hawa's Mornings in Jenin, she's a Palestinian writer, we get the idea that identity is a mere construction. Just because you were born in a particular family, practice a particular religion, speak a particular language, eat a particular cuisine, and live in a particular community, your identity is this. But if you were kidnapped and sent to other part of the world, your identity would change completely. You can experiment this by taking a small child to another country. He or she will adapt that language, that food. His identity would completely alter. But unfortunately, imagine the amount of wars we are having in this world in the name of identity crisis, thinking it to be permanent and unchangeable entity. So literature helps us break free of our shackles through imaginative experimentation. A writer has the liberty to construct stories from diverse perspectives in the realm of possibilities away from the mundane facts available. Like classroom, it is also a space of experimentation on the pages where the writer travels throughout the world and even beyond without a passport. So, to fulfill the real purpose of education, that is to prepare individuals for life and not just careers, by fostering holistic development, physical, mental, social, and emotional. We need to invest in the idea of engaged pedagogy, and literature can play a key role here. Of course, it is more demanding on both sides, the teacher and the taught, the writer and the reader, who are expected to be active co creators in the production of knowledge. But trust me, this holistic, transformative teaching approach proposes education as a tool for liberation. The idea well aligns with the notion of social justice, too, that encourages students to question and challenge power structures, critically analyze societal norms, and connect curriculum to real world issues in the student's own cultural context. All in all, engaged pedagogy is a radical approach that dares transform the classroom into a democratic space. Now, you may ask, what can one individual effort do when the whole system is entrapped into this banking system of education? So, I would like to conclude with a small story from Kailash Satyarthi's Nobel Prize speech. Can I have the next slide, please? All right, you can see on the slide. So there was fire in the forest. All the animals were running away from the forest, including the lion, the king of the jungle. Suddenly he saw a small bird, a tiny bird, with a drop of water in her beak, going towards the forest. The lion laughed and asked, "You are going towards the forest. Do you think you can extinguish the fire with this small drop of water in your beak?" The bird replied, "I'm doing my bit." So every individual effort counts. Don't lose your hope. We as teachers must try our best to foster this revolutionary practice of engaged pedagogy to bring in the best potential of education for our students and ourselves as well. Thank you so much for your patient listening.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Anam, for presentation you have shared with us. Your discussion on literature for liberation, the power of engaged pedagogy, was truly meaningful and very eye-opening. The way you connected literature, education, and social awareness gave us many valuable perspectives and inspired us to see learning in a deeper and more empowering way. You also say that as a teacher, we have to engage with students so it can make learning more activity more interesting. And I also love your quotes. Every individual efforts are counts. So we have to do our best to change our life and change our society. So thank you once again, ma'am, for your valuable knowledge and inspiring insights. We truly appreciate it. And for your information for all the participants, if you have any question for the speakers, please feel free to note them down and save them for the Q&A session, which will be held after all speakers have completed their presentation. Now, I would like to hand the session back to the Master of Ceremony for the continuation of the program. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to our first speaker and moderator for the insightful presentation. We now continue to the second presentation that will be guided by our second moderator, Afrianti. The time is yours.
Thank you to the MC for the great opportunity given to me. Now, it's my great pleasure to introduce our second speaker, Abdul Halim, Ph.D., a lecturer from Institut Agama Islam Negeri, Kendari, Indonesia. He completed his doctoral degree in Asia Pacific Regional Studies at National Donghua University. He also earned his master's degree in M.TESOL from University Canberra, Australia, and completed his bachelor's degree at Llyod University, Indonesia. His research interests on diverse areas, including teaching English as a foreign language, curriculum and materials development, language acquisition, and cross-cultural communication. Tonight, he will share his insights on the topic entitled Cross-Cultural Feedback Styles. Hello, sir.
Hello.
How are you today?
Good, thank you. That's very nice. Thank you very much.
It's such an honor to have you with us tonight. Yeah, it's such an honor to have you with us tonight. Before we begin, could you please share a little bit your academic journey? Why you choose Taiwan?
All right. That is a very interesting question, and I got that question quite a lot. Because I did my master in Australia, and so a question is coming like, why did you do your PhD in Taiwan? So basically, I want to travel around the world. I've been to Canada, I've been to Australia, I've been to America, and then I want to know how to live life in East Asia, because East Asia also kind of representing, Indonesia, and want to see how it is actually in the, in the notion of the so-called conflict and how they can live their life, which is, I think, it's quite, connected with what Dr. Anam has explained. Yeah. And I want to know what's the culture there, whether the culture is the same or the culture is different, how people they live their life, and finally after travel, then I find out that life is just the same. They all valuable. Yeah, so that's why I choose by.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing your inspiring academic journey with us. Your dedication and passion in field of English education and cross-cultural studies are through your academic experiences in Indonesia and have certainly given you broad perspectives and valuable insights that inspire many of us to continue learning and developing ourselves academically and professionally. Your research interest, especially in the language learning and cross-cultural communication, are also very relevant in today's globalized world. We are truly excited to learn more from your experiences and expertise. Well, participants, without taking more time, let us begin the main session. Please warmly welcome Abdul Halim, Ph.D., to deliver his presentation entitled Cross-Cultural Feedback Style. Sir, the Zoom screen are yours.
All right. Thank you very much. So then I don't want to tell you my name because it's been, introduced by Priyanti. Yeah. So then this evening I'll be talking about cross-cultural feedback style. If Dr. Anam previously talked about how to live life, how to coexist with diverse people harmoniously, and then she also talked about constant feedback are necessary. So my topic will be covering cross-cultural feedback style because feedback style sometimes can be misinterpreted and as a result not encouraging but discouraging. So however, before I want to go further to the heart of the matter of the presentation this evening, there will be two terms that I would like to introduce. The first one is the terms of high context culture, and then the second one is low context culture. So can you just go to the next slide, please? Can I do it myself? No. Can someone help me to go to the next slide? Oh, I can do it myself. Okay, I will share the slide myself. So. Just a second. All right. Okay. So, firstly, what is actually the high context? I'll introduce you high context with this one. So if you read these pasta, yeah, how to make pasta, it seems like very simple and you can do it easily. And then the writer of this recipe assumed that we all know how to make pasta. So without any details, we can make it. So this is presented by high context culture, or in Indonesian context, maybe for those of you who are like a friend from overseas who've been living in Indonesia, if someone asks question, where is Halim's house? They might say over there. And then when you go over there, and then this person will ask questions, right? Okay, so where is Halim's house? So there's quite a lot of layer of information, right? So, and then that's why people, they get confused. Yeah, it's not about they get confused at but if they live in the culture, they will know it. So this is actually the so-called high context culture. And then now I'm going to share this one, right? Okay. So can you see the second recipe, right? The very detailed information, and then you will need for 6 person and blah 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 blah. You can read it. So in similar vein, if someone asks where's Halim's house, then they will say like maybe they can start if you don't have you know, personal transportation, and you can get public transportation, you go straight on, and then on your way to his house, you will find hospital on the left side, and then shopping mall on the other side. And then when you find on the bar with blah 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 blah, and then you find hostel, and then you can stop there. And then after that, you can have at least 5 to 10 steps. You will find the signpost and bring housing complex. And after that, they will explain it again, get into the housing complex and blah, 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 turn left and blah, 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 blah. So the meaning of low context culture here, like, it's very explicit. People, they're not going like circular, but they will jump into the, you know, the topic, or they will tell you straight away. Or in other way, they are so direct. And so to bring you with the you know, the feedback style, I'll provide you with the 2 dimension, the 4 quadrants of feedback. So there is quadrant A, and then quadrant B, and quadrant C, and quadrant D. So in low context, low context and plus direct. So this kind of you know, suitable because, you know, culturally they live their life with low context culture, and also when they deliver negative feedback, they also so direct. And then the meaning of directness means like being honest, transparent, and frank. So if they tell you this is completely wrong, this is you know, you're not doing very good with your exam, and then please do this, means like they are so honest, and they want you to be good. They want you to, you know, to improve your level of academic performance. Yeah, so they don't mean actually to you know, demean your ability. They don't mean actually to devalue yourself, but then rather they value yourself, but then in a way they address the feedback, it seems so negative. Right, so I think this needs to be understood to create you know, harmonious living. Okay, and then now we're going to go to you know, quadrant B. So quadrant B is high context and plus direct. So high context culture mostly actually they are not direct. Yeah, they are subtle. You know, they have subtle communication. However, when they criticize someone, it's so blunt and it's so sharp, right? So the countries, for example, like Russia, France, and Spain. So why we need to understand this kind of situation? Because, you know, within each culture, even though we are categorized in Indonesia as a high context culture, but then the variation of how they deliver feedback, negative feedback, it's so diverse. In fact, some of us have like high context plus indirect, and high context plus direct. So this variation needs to be understood, and then when it's put into the classroom, we can, you know, help students to learn. When we provide feedback, students, they don't feel demotivated rather than motivated. Okay, and then now we're going to go to quadrant C. So quadrant C is we call the so-called the American way. So they are very low context. They are so direct, but when they are you know, addressing the negative feedback, they are so indirect. There is a quote for one negative, they will cover with 3 positives. Okay, so explicit, but feedback softened with positives. I think some of you who met, especially because English is, so American and so British, and so low context and direct, mostly found in diverse English textbooks. So sometimes we, assume to learn that. However, sometimes it's difficult to change because the culture that we have has been embedded within ourselves. Okay, and then the next one is quadrant D, high context with indirect. So soft, subtle, implicit feedback, like Japan, Indonesia, Mexico, and Korea. So, I'll go to the next slide so then we can see how this is actually exemplified in real life. So quadrant A is the low context direct negative feedback. I'll start just explaining, a case study of Kwang. So Kwang actually, had lived his life in Korea, but then after being successful, and he moved to, in Netherlands. So when she was there, she was shocked by how, negative feedback addressed. And so, an advice from someone say, "Oh, give it right back to them." It's like you need to do the same thing as what they did to you. So, as a result, without understanding the subtle rules of Dutch directness, Kwang went too far. When you copy somebody's styles without understanding the underlying values that has been shaped them to be like that, that would sometimes misinterpret it because you just copy the cover. You don't really understand what's happening and why they came up with that style of negative feedback. So as a result, Huang, this style of following Dutch people earned him quite undesirable reputation. People know him as, not very nice. Okay. So what will be the golden rule for this one? So be yourself. You don't have to try to follow other people, even you really want to copy how the way they do it. Okay. So each individual is valuable. You need to learn actually other people how they do things, but then you need to bring the value of yourself, and then you need to add something just to to make you more acceptable in where you live. Okay, so the key characteristic for this one, like explicit, low context communication style, direct negative feedback, is a sign of honesty and respect. However, if you don't understand how to deliver it, then people might think it's so negative. Okay, so messages should be taken literally, not hidden subtext. Okay, and then now I will go to quadrant B. So quadrant B is Anagol as Russian, and the case is in UK. So one day, actually, they have a seminar or it's a class, and then because Anagol is the coordinator, so she will ensure everything on the right track, and then so in the early morning, she just check what should be supposed to be for the seminar, and then she found out that something that she didn't expect. Okay, so then what she did, she called the IT staff, and then they something so bluntly criticized him, like the solution you have given me are entirely unacceptable. And these let people around them so sharp with this criticism, because it's actually acceptable, but in some countries like UK, the way to address negative feedback should be covered with some positivity. Yeah. Okay. So
Apologies for the
right.
sir.
Yes.
I'm apologize for the interruption, sir. May I
Okay.
kind of ask you to use one earphones as your microphone because the audience is having difficulty hearing you as your voice is breaking up. If
Oh,
it's
really?
possible.
Okay.
How
Thank
about
you so much, sir.
how about that? Can you guys hear that?
Yeah,
That's okay.
you're
Yeah.
audible.
Hope
Clear.
this one much better because I'm using the headset because I have a baby. The baby is crying. I'm really sorry, okay? But I hope this will be fine. So in quadrant B, like high context and direct negative feedback. So when you do it in a country where low context culture, you might find it a bit difficult. So a key characteristic for this one is communicate between the lines, yeah, high context, yet give criticism that is sharp and direct. So direct feedback varies by hierarchy. So especially like us in Indonesia, we are hierarchical community too. So, when we are taught to, high rank people, then we will show respect other than to the one who are lower than us, okay, or our subordinate, we call that, okay, mostly a bit more diplomatic, okay. With strangers, communication can be forceful, right? If you can see Anna's explanation here, because Russia is under communism, so the stranger was the enemy. So we kept strangers at forceful distance. Maybe I brought a little too much of my Russianness into the job, okay? So the insight for this one is that once aware of the cultural pattern, so goal of committed to replacing upgraders with downgraders. So later on, I will talk about what is upgraders and downgraders for software delivery. Okay, and then I'll go to the next slide, and then this is just a bit quadrant A and B reflection. It's just while you're there listening, then you can think of a time you receive feedback that feels so harsh and or blunt, and hindsight could have been culturally motivated. Okay, so if someone says something so blunt and then you feel so bad, you don't think it's demeaning you, but probably it's so cultural. Okay, so if you understand it's so cultural, then you're not going to react badly or impulsively, right? And then, so the next one is quadrant C, so low context and indirect negative feedback. So this is we call an American way, American style, okay? So they allow context, they are so direct, they can say anything, they're so clear. But then when it comes to negative feedback, they are so indirect, right? If you see the sandwich approach, so explicit, low context, but softens negatives with positives. So there's a quote, 3 positive for every negative. So even the student, they make probably some mistake with their assignments. Before they criticize the assignment, they will say like, you're good at this, you're good at this, you're good at this, but maybe you need a little bit improvement for this, okay? So that would be a type of feedback that I will address. The word excellent is so often, and it loses meaning to outsiders, especially for the the low context, yeah, with direct negative feedback. So here, this one, there is the case study for this one is there's a conference, and then so Sabin's American colleague each begin with politeness. They begin like the booths were well organized, the buses were on time, but Sabine couldn't hold back, and then because she knew that the conference wasn't as expected, so she said like it was one disappointment after another. The keynote was uninspiring. The food was almost uneatable. So and make the people around just feel so so negative, because this one, it's not used to address in that culture. Okay, so what actually the revised approach, I might start by talking about how much we learn, and we use a downgrader. It was a bit of disaster rather than a total disaster. Okay, so you can see here the difference. It was a bit disaster rather than a total disaster. That we call a softened way of how to address negative feedback in America, USA, Canada, and I think in Australia too. Yeah, I had experience with this one when I was in Australia, and then my writing style was so circular, and then I couldn't get the main ideas, so I just repeat the same thing. And so one of my tutor just hold her head like this. And then she told me, Halim, this one is okay. This one also is okay. But I think you need to revise. So then I feel that now, after I learn cross-cultural communication, then I notice like there's something wrong with mine. Even the feedback that I got last time was quite positive. So then you can imagine if between the feedback that we address in the class, and then if the feedback hasn't been reach the student nicely, then how can the improvement or learning process can take place? Okay, so here strategies for adapting to quadrant C. So start with honest, explicit positive feedback before negatives. Okay, balance positive and negative feedback over time, frame differences in cultural terms with humility. Okay, and the next one is this is quadrant C, when positive language create confusion. Okay, so to attachment, if you can read this one, it's all about hogwash. Okay, all the positive feedback just strikes us as fake. Okay, I was on a conference call with an American group, and the organizer began, "I'm absolutely thrilled to be with you this morning." And I say, only an American would begin a meeting like this. Okay, so you can see the language here. American says excellent. American means very good performance. And Dutch or French hears rare, exceptional achievement. Okay, so good, mild compliment, and Dutch French hears might say or might mean neutral or just okay. And then okay in American and the other countries who are belonging to this quadrant C, if they say okay, it's actually below expectation. Yeah, and I do it to my student here. If they come and meet me and say, this one is okay, you need to change this a little bit, and to change a little bit, and then once they get out from the room, they say, "Oh, mine is okay. There's nothing wrong." So I am actually learning how I can be, so clear to them, while I can't actually change it, but because this style has been embedded within me, rooted within me, because I've been actually traveling to, for example, like to Canada, to USA from 2020. So then I try actually to be blunt and say this is wrong, but then I couldn't sleep after that because I feel like I dehumanize them. So then I came back and I say, please accept my apology. Okay. So then this one is actually okay. So you need to change this one. Okay. So you can see the meaning of okay to student, even though they are below expectation. And then interesting mean like I have concern, but then if I say it's interesting, then they say, wow, my God, my work is so good. Okay, so you can see that. Okay, so in Dutch or French here, the means like positive or neutral. So you can see the contradictive meaning of this phrases. And then now, so what I mean by upgraders and downgraders. So the upgraders use more direct cultures to make feedback feel stronger. What we need to understand, they don't mean to hurt you. They actually want to be, true, and they want you to change. Yeah. However, because we have our own culture, especially in Indonesia, when we try to be true, they feel, so bad. And then sometimes they just avoid us. We don't motivate them. In fact, they are demotivated, okay? So the word actually absolutely, totally, strongly, and completely. So example, like this is absolutely inappropriate, okay? And then for downgraders, used by more indirect cultures to soften the criticism. So the keywords like kind of, sort of, a little, a bit, maybe slightly. So for example, we can say, when we are not quite there yet. Yeah. So meaning this is nowhere close to complete. But if we say this to students who don't understand the meaning, they'll say, oh, I'm okay. Okay. It's okay. So they don't really see there's something wrong with what they are doing. And then moving to the last quadrant, the high context and indirect negative feedback. Okay, so this is the case study of Charlie. He gave a Mexican employee negative feedback in a meeting. Yeah, so it's so light. Yeah, it's coated with joke. Yeah, and move quickly and thinking it was no big deal. But this employee, if you can read that a quotation, that he learned later that he had seriously insulted him by giving feedback in front of the team. So he felt humiliated and worried he was going to get fired. So he decided to quit first. And, it took him completely by surprise. So why? But in this quadrant D, if you can see the key characteristic, negative feedback is soft, subtle, and implicit. And negative, never give individual feedback in front of a group, okay? Positive feedback in public, yeah? So even positive can also be embarrassing. So you can see like what Charlie gave a Mexican employee. So, coded with a joke, but then what, this Mexican employee receive the joke hasn't been an interesting part, but then it was so demeaning, okay? The next point is blurring the message is a key skill. So this is, quite complex. Yeah. So when we deal with the Indonesian, students, it's you know, sometimes we tell them this, they might feel so irritated. If we do this, they will not get progress. So we are in between, like I'll say, I am in a quandary because, you know, what we mean so positive might mean so negative to them. Okay. So, so what is here? I wrote the important warning. So like a boss here, or maybe a teacher in quadrant D, or maybe a chancellor may sometimes give very direct, harsh feedback to subordinates. Okay, because we live in hierarchical context. So hierarchical is we value, you know, for example, in our family, our parents is valuable. Whatever they say, we're just gonna follow them. We just listen, even though they make mistake. We never criticize them. But if we make mistake, the children, they will criticize us. Okay, they will say so bluntly to us. So that is actually the quadrantry. Okay. And then now moving on to the 3 strategy for blurring feedback, okay? And this is for the Indonesian case because we live in this quadrant. So give feedback slowly over time. So this means like don't deliver full message at once, make small references gradually and building a picture of what needs to change, okay? So if the students make a lot of mistake or sometimes they don't have good attention in the class, then we need to take step. We just don't say you are bad, you don't do the you know, the job very well. Okay, you are irresponsible. Because when we say it, even though we mean it, we mean so then like so they can change, they might take it as you know, an offense for them. So they will not come to school, or maybe they won't do the assignment. Okay. The next, you know, strategy is use food and drink to blur the message. So invite to lunch rather than calling into your office. In a relaxed setting, feedback lands more gently. Okay, and then the last one, say the good, leave out the bad. What I mean by this is, even though like they are doing a huge mistake and they know that they have done it, you need to highlight what was done well, and then the recipient or the one who actually address your feedback actually understand what was not mentioned. Okay. It's not easy to learn all of this, but then once we know the 4 quadrants, then we live our life happily. And then I will not say that I am not quite happy, but then since I learned cross-cultural communication, all issues, I can settle them nicely. So then my life is happy, okay? So this is my last PowerPoint. So what does it mean to be polite? Okay. So in Netherlands, we give feedback very directly. This is the quote from Martin, okay? But we are always polite, okay? So then if we see someone, in the case of Kwang, the Korean manager, when he saw that so bluntly to address the negative feedback, he thought that Dutch people are so negative in you know, addressing their negative feedback, but it's actually they are polite. It's just the way they use the negative feedback. So then politeness is in the eye of the beholder, okay? So the meaning of polite that we can, you know, take home. So altering behavior gradually. So altering behavior gradually means like you need to be adaptable. If you are so high context culture, and then when you move to other countries, or maybe you study, or maybe you meet people who are coming from diverse culture, you need to alter your behavior. Yeah, you don't change yourself, but then how you can coexist with the people who you interact with. And then practicing humility means like you don't really need to show who you are or your position, but then you need to act according to humanity. Like we share similar humanity, we live under the same sky. So whatever the position that we are having, we are just human. Okay. And then the next one is testing waters before speaking. So what I mean by this, you need to see your surrounding, you need to see the person that you are talking to. And then after that, you can say it. And assuming goodwill in others is a bit difficult, but if you really want to create harmonious living, even though you might listen, they criticize you, but then if you assume that it must be something good for me, then you will not respond it impulsively. And then the last one is building strong relationship. So the goal of the presentation is actually with skill, one can be perceived as equally polite in every way. I will leave you with one question, and then I hope that this can just help you to understand my point. So can you think of a context where being indirect is actually more respectful than being direct? And why? Okay, so again, thank you so much for your attention, and I will give it back to the moderator.
Thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful presentation. Your explanation about different feedback styles across cultures was very insightful and relevant. Through this session, we learned that understanding cultural differences in communication is a very important, crucial, especially in education and international interaction. And the presentation was engaging and very beneficial all for us. And I'm sure the participants gained many new perspectives and valuable lessons from the webinar. And what I capture from your statement, and it's really, really meaningful for me, follow yourself, don't copy others. It's really meaningful. And once again, sir, thank you so much for your time, knowledge, and meaningful sharing in this online session. We truly appreciate for your presence today. And for all participants, if you have any questions for the speaker, please feel free to note them down and save them for the Q&A session, which be held after all the speakers have completed their presentations. And I would like to hand the session back to the MC for the continuation of the program. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much to our second speaker and moderator. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the third session will be guided by our third moderator, Resti. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, the time is yours.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Master of Ceremony, for the opportunity that have given to me. And good evening, everyone. Once again, welcome to the international webinar presented by Master of English, Dayanu Ikhsanuddin University. It is my pleasure to be the moderator for this session, and it's my honor to introduce our final speaker of the day. So, our final speaker of the day has inspiring background. He works as an English teacher and program consultant at Intercultural Education Partner, IEP, and he has also taught English to asylum seekers, refugees, and immigrants in Australia. And academically, he holds his Master of TESOL from Monash University and completed his CELTA in Lexis English. And what caught my attention is the most as he is currently learning Bahasa Llyod, which is really interesting and very unique. And he also even did work at circus in Australia. So please warmly welcome to our final speaker, Mr. Michael Llyod Deacon, M.TESOL. Hello, Mr. Michael.
Hello, Resti. Thank you for the introduction.
Yes, it's wonderful to have you here with us. And before we begin, what would you like us to call you actually? Mr. Michael, Michael, or what?
Yeah, I come from a low context culture, so you can just call me Michael.
Okay, Michael,
Yeah.
it's fine. Okay. All right. I heard that you are in Baubau. It's right?
I am right now. I'm in Baubau.
So, how is everything going in Baubau, Mr. Michael?
Yeah, so I've been here for almost 5 years now, and I think I've been really well prepared to, yeah, grow in my ability to participate. Yeah, I've got good friends, good colleagues, so really, really, yeah, feel very well supported.
That's lovely to hear. And I'm curious about, do you ever try some traditional food here?
I have, yes.
What's your favorite one?
I think the ikan prende from Mama Abdul in Kotamara is, you have to try that, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I also noticed that you're learning Bahasa Wolio, which is
Mm-hmm.
very interesting to talk about. So, why did you end up learning Bahasa Wolio?
Oh, well, because I can, why not? But also,
Okay.
yeah, most of my neighbors, right around me right now, they use, Bahasa Volio. So yeah, engage with them is good too.
Okay, that's very interesting. Well, thank you once again for joining us today. We're truly grateful to have you here with us. With your background and experience in mental health support, I believe that insights you will share today will be very valuable and meaningful for everyone that joining this session. So I can also see that everyone here already very excited to hear more from you and learn from your perspective. So without further ado, I would like to hand the session over to you. Please, Mr. Michael, the time and screen is yours.
Thank you, Resti.
Yes.
Saya minta izin share screen juga ya. Okay. Okay, hello everybody. And hearing from Dr. Anam and Halim as well. It was so encouraging. Really, really interesting to hear your experiences and your thoughts on intercultural communication, on understanding, on learning, on pedagogy. So I've been really encouraged. And I think a lot of what I want to say this evening as well flows on very nicely from that. Something that Halim said was, if we copy someone's feedback style without understanding why they have that style, that's going to lead to problems. We want to have some deep understanding so that we can interact well with people. Also, he said, or on the PowerPoint, he said, we need to see the person you are talking to, that we need to prioritize those relationships. And that's something else I want to stress this evening too, or this afternoon or this morning, whatever time zone you're coming from. And one other thing, I actually really appreciated hearing a bit of an Australian accent from Halim, I think. I heard quite a few words, and I thought, I think studying in Canberra, your accent has been influenced slightly by that, I think. So that was fun too. Okay, so the title of my presentation is, Please Help Me Understand You, Why Relationships Are Key to Positive Societal Transformation. And so the big idea that I want to communicate this evening is that meaningful dialogue, it requires deep understanding of the other person's perspective or the other person's world, which is what we heard a bit from Dr. Anam about. Without some kind of relationship, coming to understand someone and coming to be able to have dialogue with them, it's very unlikely to happen without an existing relationship. And so if we are serious about positive transformation in our societies, whatever that looks like, I think we need to focus on developing relationships that lead to deep understanding and humble dialogue. So that's kind of the big picture of where we're going. So I still remember one of my first classes at Monash University, where I did my master's there. And the lecturer posed these questions. What's the role of a teacher? And what's the role of a student? And all of us, or most of us, I think, coming from an education background, we've probably all thought about that or been asked that question at one time or another. So yeah, I wonder what your thoughts are on that. What's the role of a teacher? You know, some possible answers there. A teacher could just be a source of information. They could be a sounding board, somebody who gives us feedback. They could be a guide or something else as well. Lots of different roles that a teacher could have. And the role of a student, they could just be a receiver of information. They could be an explorer or a participator, something else as well. So yeah, what's the role of a teacher? What's the role of a student? I'd like to invite you to share some of your ideas in the chat. What do you think the role of a teacher and a student should be? So you can do that in English or yeah, bisa bahasa Indonesia juga. Apa perannya murid dan apa perannya guru? You can do that in English or Indonesian or whatever other language you wish to. So feel free to share some of those thoughts. I'll give you 30 seconds. What's the role of a teacher and what's the role of a student?
So guys, kalau kalian punya pertanyaan, pendapat lebih dan students bisa ditulis di chat box ya. Kita saling sharing saja, okay?
Okay, murid mencontoh guru. Parents for the students to lead them in facing the world. Okay, so the role of a teacher would be as a parental figure. The teacher's role to bring out the best in students and help them discover their talents. Nice. Guru membimbing murid. Terima kasih, Bu Elsa. Interesting. Yeah, so there's lots of different ways that we can conceive of the role of a teacher and the role of a student. And depending on the context, where are we? Yeah, depending on the context, those roles might change. Okay, let's continue. Oh. So, I work at a language and culture training center, you can call it that. And I think it was talked about before, Intercultural Edukasi Partner, IEP. And at IEP, we have a particular way that we view the role of a teacher and the role of a student. So this is in the context of culture and language teaching. So we see the role of the teacher as a nurturer. And so that means an older brother or sister figure who helps the student understand and participate in that is the nurturer's world. So the role of a teacher is to be a nurturer, somebody who helps the student understand and participate in the nurturer's world. The role of a student, we say at IEP, is to be a growing participator. And a growing participator is someone growing in their ability to understand and participate in the nurturer's world. So the task then of the student is to grow in their ability to understand and participate in the nurturer's world. And the task of the teacher or the nurturer is to help the growing participator, to help the student grow in their ability to understand and participate in that new world. And so it changes just from language learning or even language and culture learning, and it becomes something much bigger, much more holistic, which is what Dr. Anam was talking about before, and something quite exciting. And this is the methodology or the approach that I've used to learn Indonesian and learn Wolio, or to grow into the Wolio world, grow into the Indonesian world. So yeah, I think the relationship between the teacher and the student is extremely important. The teacher welcomes the student into their world and helps them understand its words and ways. So we only understand because someone helps us to understand. Okay. However, students are not blank canvases. You know, we don't come into a new world. We don't start learning a new language, a new culture as a blank slate. A person's understanding of the words and ways of their host world is influenced by their understanding of the words and ways of their home world. So we are influenced by our understandings of our home worlds as we try and participate in a new world, whether that be growing into the English-speaking world, or the Wolio-speaking world, or the German-speaking world, anything like that. We are influenced by those things. And I want to give two examples of what I mean by that. First of all, we hear with an accent. So I'm currently learning this language called Wolio, or rather, I am growing in my ability to participate in the Wolio world. And in one of my sessions with my nurturer, in one of my language classes, we were talking about a village called Lowolowu. So if you live around Baubau, you will know Lowolowu. And as I was listening to my nurturer, he's actually in the Zoom tonight. I've asked permission from him to use this story. As I was talking with my nurturer about this place, this village called Lowolowu, I heard him pronouncing it two different ways. You know, sometimes he would say it Lowolowu with a W sound. And then at other times I'd hear him say Lovolovu with a V sound. And so I asked him, I said, which one is it? What's the correct pronunciation? Is it Lowolowu or Lovolovu? And he answered basically just by saying, yes, it's both. Because for him, he doesn't differentiate those two sounds, the W and the V sound. In my home world, the W and V sounds are very different. I can hear them and I use them differently. But for him, there's one sound, or a very similar sound that he hears, or that he uses when he's using what I would say is the W and V sounds. So he said, yes, both are true. I wanted to check that this was true. So a few days ago, I asked him to say a few words for me. I asked him to say vehicle, where, vase, water. So I tested this again, and he said these different words, and I could hear him saying, these different sounds, v, w, v, w. And I said to him, "Pa, I'm hearing you saying these different sounds. I can hear the difference. I can hear you using those different sounds." But he said to me, "Yeah, you may hear those, but for me, I don't hear those different sounds. He's using them interchangeably." We were hearing the same thing, but each with our own accents. Little side note as well, because he speaks very, very good English, like he was able to develop those skills of making those sounds, even though he doesn't really hear them as clearly as I do from my home world. So very interesting, I think. We hear with an accent. In a similar way, we understand with an accent too. Another way to say that is we interpret things using understandings from our home worlds, or our worldviews influence how we understand. And so a little story about this. Several years ago now, I had just moved to Indonesia, and I was living in Baubau. And one day I came out of my house, and one of my neighbors met me and he invited me to come to a wedding. He said, ayo besok ada acara pernikahan, bisa ke rumah saya ya. And so I felt very good about this. I thought, great, I'm making friends. I'm doing good at this whole culture and language learning thing. And so I said to him, oh, so what time tomorrow? And he said, 9 o'clock in the morning. And so if you're, from Indonesia or if you're from a similar culture, you can probably see what's going to happen. So he told me, yeah, tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., that's when the wedding's happening. So next morning, I was dressed up in my nice new batik, all fancy, and I left the house a little bit before 9 because I had to be there on time at 9 o'clock. And as I was walking up the street towards his house, I saw him on his motorbike driving away wearing a t-shirt and shorts. I thought, what's going on? My homeworld understanding said that if somebody invited me to their wedding, it means that they want you to come and that you need to come dressed up in a certain way and arrive on time. But my host world understanding, that the understanding of host people here, what I understand now is that if you get invited once with no extra information, it's just a polite way to say that they value you. It's small talk, basa-basi, right? They don't really expect you to come to that wedding unless they invite you a few times and give you more information. So very much what Halim was talking about before with the high context, low context stuff. We understand with an accent too. So if we apply our home world understandings to host world words and ways, this can result in a relationship breakdown or tension. So a few examples. Intercultural marriages. Different understandings or values about how to raise children well can lead to tension in those relationships or even relationship breakdown. International business is another example. Different understandings about business etiquette or goals, what is good, what is right in a business. It can lead to losing a contract and employees losing jobs as well. The consequences are high. And then bringing it out even bigger to world leaders. And I think right now we are all experiencing some level of discomfort at least or suffering because of the relationship breakdown between world leaders. And this is, very complicated, and I am not an expert at all in this, but I would say that, some of these tensions we're feeling is partially due to people not understanding the other. Now, understanding the other's world, not just knowing about the world in general, but having a deep understanding of that world as it is experienced by the other person. This is essential if we are serious about positive societal transformation. And we cannot expect to truly understand someone or their world if we don't have a relationship with them. Relationships are so important. It's simple, but we need to remember it. We need to focus on the relationships. Okay, so just coming to a close, what can we do about this as educators? To help students develop positive relationships with others, we need to help them understand those others by growing their skills in listening well. So this can mean listening to understand, not just listening to respond. You want to truly understand the other, not just, while I'm listening, I'm thinking, okay, how am I going to, what's my response to this? But let me understand you first, listening well. We can listen well by being aware of the influence of our home worlds. So kind of what I was, talking about before with, either the pronunciation of something or the, my understandings of what an invitation to a wedding looks like. Also, once again, going back to Halim's presentation on cross-cultural feedback styles. I need to be aware of how my home world does that, and I need to be aware of how the host world does that so that I can be understood well. Active listening, really important skill. Asking questions like, did I hear you right? I thought I heard you said this. Can you please explain that a bit more? So active listening, and then reading widely to get the full picture. So Dr. Anam was talking about literature and literary inquiry. We want to read well. So this is not really listening, but it's reading more so. But if I have a paper or an article by a certain scholar, I want to read widely, not just the one paper, but I want to read other things that that scholar has done to fully understand what they mean about that. So reading widely is very important too. Okay, so we can help our students by helping them to listen well, by helping them to, what's the next one? Observe well, observing well. So we want to be objective in our observations and get the perspective of insiders on things. So being objective, not subjective. So what do I mean by that? So the experience I had with my friend inviting me to the wedding, and then I saw him later driving down the street in his t-shirt and shorts. If I had a subjective opinion about that, I could see him and I could think, how rude. He's rude. He invited me and then he's leaving. Or I could think he's not helping his family on the wedding day. He should be helping his family, but he's going off doing something else. But if I had an objective perspective, I could say, okay, so I saw him wearing these clothes, driving away, and it was the, wedding day of one of his family members. And then I could get his perspective. I could ask him about that, saying, hey, tell me, why were you doing that at that time? Most likely he was going to, prepare the food, get some, water gallons, things like that to help prepare. He was being helpful rather than rude. We want to observe well, being objective in our observations and getting this perspective of insiders. And then the last thing is questioning well. We want to seek to understand rather than seek to defeat or disprove somebody. Really, really important that, when we're questioning people, we can do that by saying things like, well, why would you do that? Or, oh, that's not how we do it. Why would you do it like that? Should be done like this. Or we can seek to understand, asking, okay, why did you do that? Can you tell me more about this? Tell me more about you in this as well. Now, we may, at the end of that discussion or that questioning, we may still disagree with the people. We may have also defeated or disproved their argument, but we've developed a relationship with them now in the process. So that's why we're questioning well, seeking to understand the person and their world rather than just seeking to defeat or disprove them. So the last thing I would like to do is once again hand it over to you for you to think about something. How are you intentionally helping your students to develop their understanding? So thinking about listening skills, observation skills, questioning skills, and other things as well. How are you intentionally helping your students to develop their understanding? So maybe just take 1 minute and write a sentence, or if there's an activity that you do with your students, or something else, or an idea that you have, write that in the chat. So maybe 1 minute. Jadi untuk kalau ada guru bahasa di sini, bagaimana Anda akan membantu atau mau membantu murid-murid untuk mengembangkan pemahaman mereka. Mungkin ada aktivitas, mungkin ada permainan, mungkin ada kegiatan untuk membantu muridnya mengembangkan pemahaman mereka. Bisa tulis itu di chat. 1 menit. Bagaimana Resti? Betul?
Yes. Betul.
Oke.
Jadi silakan ditulis ya jawabannya para peserta. Dikasih waktu 1 menit sama Pak Michael.
Yeah. Saya kepo. What will you do? How are you intentionally helping your students to develop their understanding, to develop their listening skills, observation skills, questioning skills? Pengalaman bersama dengan masyarakat lokal. Excellent. So we can help our students understand by maybe accompanying them, going with them into the into society, into the neighborhood, and saying, hey, what are you seeing? What are you observing? And then they may say, oh, I saw this, I saw that, but oh, what's going on there? What's happening here? And the teacher can help them understand what's going on. Menempatkan diri kita di posisi mereka dan di zona mana mereka ingin berkembang. Yeah. So it's really important that we as teachers or as nurturers, we need to observe or be able to understand, what's our students' perspective here? What's going on in their mind? What's their thought processes? As a teacher, first we have to find suitable material with students' learning style. Nice, yeah. Helping them to understand. Sesuai dengan zona berkembang. Excellent. Learning through observation is impactful. Yeah.
Dr. Anam.
And Dr. Anam, I have so many questions for you. Okay. Berkomunikasi dengan murid sesuai dengan karakter, latar belakang, dan tingkat pemahaman mereka. Okay, thank you, everybody. Excellent. So this is us as a community of educators helping each other think about this. Okay, just to finish, just one last thought from me. So often, I think, as educators, as language teachers, we often focus on the result, on the output, on speaking, on writing. Often the focus is, please help me speak your language. And that's important. If the student is asking for help speaking somebody's language, of course we want to help them, that's great. And that's important. But my question to finish off is, what would it look like if we spent a bit more time focusing on the relationships our students are developing? So instead of helping them just to ask, please help me speak your language, you get them to ask, please help me to understand you. And I'll finish there. Thank you. And I will hand back to the moderator.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Michael, for your meaningful insights. So today's material reminds us about education isn't just about academic, but it's about how we understand people and building positive relationship. And then I also noticed that you said teacher is not just only become the research of information, but it can be nurturer as an older sister and older brother to their students, and then students is not just become the person or human receive the information, but students are human being who are developing, right? And then what I found very interestingly from your presentation is the use of idea accent is not about how we pronounce word or someone pronounce word, but is about we understand people, the world, through our own culture, experience, and perspective. So it's very, very insightful presentation, Mr. Michael. So once again, thank you so much for your presentation today. All right, everyone. I think we're moving to question and answer session. So it will be in two parts. So the first part, everyone gets one question for each speaker. So everyone gets a turn. And then the second part, it's open floor. You can ask follow-up or new questions to any speaker. So semuanya kita bakal masuk ke question and answer session. Ini bakal ada dua part. Yang part pertama, kami persilakan untuk para peserta menanyakan satu pertanyaan untuk setiap pemateri kita malam ini. Dan juga untuk part kedua itu lebih bebas. Bisa kalian tanya follow up tentang pertanyaannya kalian. Atau pertanyaan baru untuk pemateri yang sama pada yang kalian ajukan pada pemateri di part yang pertama. Okay, let's start with the part 1. So if you have a question, please raise your hand, mention your name, and don't forget to mention which speaker the question is directed to. Okay, jadi kalau punya pertanyaan silakan angkat tangannya, mention nama kalian, sebutkan nama kalian, dan juga jangan lupa sebutkan untuk siapa pertanyaan kalian dituju. Okay, we have Keisha Berlianti. Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Let me introduce myself. My name is Keisha Berlianti. I'm second semester student at Dayanu Ikhsanuddin University, majoring English education. I won't ask Anam.
Yeah.
At crisis in human condition, that point 1, it is the trap of hyper individualism. People are too focused on themselves, their personal interests, and individual achievements, resulting in a decline in social awareness. It's as if they have a life of their own with their smartphones, making them their second world, and their ability to care for or interact with others, perhaps even their parents, is inevitable, diminished.
Crisis in the discipline of
I believe
humanities.
smartphones are one of the cases of the rise in hyper individualism. I think that's all for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Keisha. So the question is for our first speaker. So Shiva, can you handle it, please?
Question, and let's hear the speaker response. The time is your, ma'am Anam. Do you get the question?
Yeah.
Okay. The time is yours.
So thank you for a very interesting observation rather than a question, as you are suggesting that our smartphones is one big evil that has come up between the relationship between two individuals as such. So definitely up to some level, the smartphones, or we can say technology as a whole, it has sort of led to this functional disconnect between human beings. Like earlier, we used to have a direct one-to-one conversation with people, but now having a smartphone in the hand, that has replaced our direct communication through different channels. Like we use emojis, we use messages to communicate to the other person. So that has become a kind of a in between, not so good person. So in that way, yes, smartphones or artificial intelligence or maybe technology, in a way, it acts as a catalyst for this idea of hyper individualism, no doubt about it. But the fact is also that we cannot avoid, just a second. The fact is also that we cannot avoid the growth of technology in our own world. We cannot say that we will lose whatever technology we have acquired so far. So artificial intelligence is a necessary evil, but we have to learn to live with it. I believe that everything has both pros and cons to it. And what we can suggest that even we can use technology for our benefits in some ways, because technology helps us in this cross-cultural dialogue between two people, as Michael was also suggesting, and also Halim, Dr. Halim, he was also suggesting this thing about translating the culture or how we relate to the other person, building that relationship. So I believe that one biggest advantage of technology would be to translate a language, maybe reach out to the other person to be able to understand the other cultures in a better way. So technology in this way can also act as a very good glue between two human beings. So it is up to us, like how we are using our phones, because through our phones and through laptops today, we are also having a dialogue. So this is a constructive way of connecting with each other. So I think it depends on the usage. Yeah. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for the answer, Anam.
Welcome.
Okay, thank you. Ma'am Anam for the answer. Okay, for the next question we have Mikhail. Please go ahead. What's your
Okay.
question?
Thank you. My name is Michael.
Mikhail, are you still okay?
Yeah, I'm Michael from Bandung. I want to ask question to Dr. Anam. Nowadays, we cannot deny some relation between teacher and students can involve ego and emotional sensitivity. Teacher may see student critical thinking as disagreement or threat to their authority, while student may perceive teacher's critique as personal attack. In your view, in your point of view, how can we break this cycle so the classroom can genuinely become safe space to disagreement and critical discussion, and also how can students safely express disagreement or critical perspective without fearing academic consequences? That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Michael from Bandung. So the question refers to Dr. Anam again. So Shiva, can you handle it?
Okay, thank you, Michael, for your nice question. Now we invite our speaker to answer the question. Ma'am Anam,
Yeah. Thank you, Michael, for the question. I feel there are different challenges, of course, in the institutions with regards to the position of both the teacher and the student. When we are proposing the idea of engaged pedagogy, I mean, it becomes a challenge sometimes how to maintain the notion of freedom, given the challenges from both the teachers and the taught side. I think one of the ways we can handle this maybe would be to cross the limits, the boundaries of the classroom. And as Michael was also suggesting about the idea of observation, maybe take students outside the boundaries of the conventional classroom, and we can have a dialogue outside. I agree that it would take a lot of time on the side of the teacher as well, because apart from your usual class routines, you need to take out some time for your students, meet them personally as a group maybe, and then have open discussions. So I think teaching inside and teaching outside sort of complements each other, and then the learning process becomes more joyful. And the idea of freedom that I'm talking about, uh, this is one way of maybe materializing it in a better way. Yeah. Thank you
Okay,
for the question, Michael.
do you accept answer?
Yeah, thank you for your answer.
Thank you.
Okay, for the next question, we are pleased to Sari to ask the question.
Okay, good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to express my highest appreciation to all of our incredible speakers tonight, Ma'am Anam, Mr. Abdul Halim, and Mr. Michael, for sharing such a valuable insight. As a brief reflection on how impactful educators are, I'm actually deeply honored to see Mr. Abdul Halim here on the panel tonight, sir. You might not recall, but you were a guest lecturer during my university days at Unidayan about 10 years ago. So seeing you and the rest of the distinguished panel tonight is a wonderful privilege and a very proud moment for me as a professional. Okay, so please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Sari, a proud graduate from Unidayan. Currently, I'm still learning and managing in a team as a leader at one of the largest retail companies in Indonesia. I have a small question that might shift slightly from the immediate context of classroom teaching, but I believe this is highly critical for preparing students before they step into the harsh reality of the professional workforce. In our fast-paced retail environment, applying this quadrant D blurring feedback framework faces a big practical challenge. Indirect approaches like delivering feedback slowly or meeting bad rely heavily on the employee's speed and self-awareness. However, in the reality, some team members might completely miss these subtle hints, while urgent business deadline require immediately performance changes. So, with all due respect, sir, my question is, how can educators use this framework to better prepare students for the sharp transition into the corporate world? And from your perspective, where should a leader draw the line between being empathic and maintaining operational urgency? Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Should I answer?
Okay, thank you, Sari, for your question. Okay, please, Kak Halim, to answer the question.
Okay, thank you so much. That was so challenging, so tough. And then I'll try to respond it according to the perspective. Okay. So, you know, the first answer is any question, any issue is so contextual dependent. And then in which angle are you looking at? You might have different interpretations, right? So, however, if you bring it into the classroom practice and how are you going to prepare students to be more globalized citizens, then what you need to do is you need to understand first the culture. There are two cultures here, the culture of the students and the culture of the teachers. So if the cultures of the teachers is here and the culture of the student here, then there was a huge gap. So then the teachers need to go down a little bit, and the student need to be, instilled with information that actually the point of learning is here. So you cannot just come up with your teaching right away and then tell the student to do what you do, yeah, what you want, okay? But instead, you need to tell what is actually the context of the learning first by looking at your student perspective. For example, if they are coming from, for example, like we are very high context culture in Indonesia, and then high context culture are living with time. Like time is not important. So as Michael say that, when someone asks, they say, what time I should go? They say at 9. So in Indonesia, because we are so high context, 9 doesn't mean like 9. Yeah. So then we need to teach the student to read the air, to listen well, right? Okay. So read the air means like if someone say yes, don't really, take the yes, but then read the situation. Did you remember when someone like in Indonesia asked you, like, do you like banana? I said, yes. But then in fact, sometimes they don't like it. Okay, so that if we prepare students to understand how actually world is organized according to the culture, and culture is a mental program that we can decide something better or good. So it can change actually the perspective of how they can deal with larger community or diverse community. And so at the end of the day, when they go to different places, for example, like they go to work, and then they can adapt easily, right? Because they know like they learn what they learn is, of course, the knowledge, but the culture is one of the basic things that need to be instilled, in the so-called learning process. Because everything is attached with culture. And one thing that I want to, highlight, it's culture is learned behavior. If your student coming from the family where they learn this kind of thing is blah, 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 and the teacher is coming from this perspective that teaching and learning is blah, 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 how they can match? So the first thing is like understanding the core issue is the culture of the student and the culture of the teachers, which if we go back to Michael, then the answer is nurturing. So if the teachers still don't understand what the meaning of nurturing, rather than understanding teaching as, transferring, then what you are expecting to help people to be a globalized community or global community won't happen. And it's so challenging because, instilling, a cultural sensitivity with an individual, it doesn't take one day, it doesn't take even a month, doesn't take even a year, it takes a long period of time. And even like I am becoming like this now after 20 years. So within the duration of 1 to 15 years, I was so cruel to my students. Like if they are late, they say, okay, this is wrong. I just focus on, the result. But then after, mingling with the different people from different world, then I realized that we need to change. The question is, do the teachers want to change? That's actually, if they want to change, they have to learn. If they don't want to change, we perpetuate the virtuous circle of education. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Pak Halim, for the insightful explanations. How about Sari? Do you get the point?
Yes, thank you. That's really
Okay,
nice.
thank you, Sari. So we have a question from Arthur. Yes, Mr. Arthur, please go ahead.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, and I'm really thrilled, I would say, listening some great words, and I'm thankful to all three panelists to Mr. Abdul, and Dr. Anam, and Mr. Michael. Okay, so my question is a very generic, because I come from a place, I'm from India, and we have a philosophy of Vasudev Kutumbakam. It's a Sanskrit phrase, which means the world is your family. The whole world is your family. We may be geographically aparted, ethnically, language. There's so many things that differentiate us. But something that aggregates us is this world, and we belong to the same family, to the same planet. I heard a couple of words from all of you, and I've just take out those keywords I was listening. By the way, if I give you my background, I'm a very common man working in one of the corporate here. It's a US-based corporate where I work, but I'm a very common man, and I'm trying to understand and unwrap the challenges of the society. So I just, after listening carefully, and very thankful to all of you for giving me this opportunity to express myself here. So my question to Mr. Michael, as he was saying something about observation in terms of learning. So now living in a very hyper individualistic, very, hyper informatic, infodemic, whatever we call it. So we are living in a world where trust is eroding faster than information is expanding. So how education can beyond knowledge transmission to become a space for rebuilding social trust, collective responsibility, and ethical dialogue. So what an individual can play a role in that. Because when mistrust is increasingly becoming a social norm rather than an exception, how can educator or common man can create an atmosphere and ecosystem to encourage questioning and resistance, but also cultivate empathy, intellectual humility, and trust in human relationship? So that I'm trying to understand. So if Mr. Michael can enlighten us on that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your good question. So the question is first to Mr. Michael. Mr. Michael, are you still there?
Okay, thank you, Kirsty, and thank you, Arthur, also. Yeah, so can I enlighten you on that question? Can you enlighten me also? But yeah, a very weighty question, very rich question, an important question, I think. Trust is eroding. Is that a result of, a hyper-individualistic community? Probably. Are there some other reasons for that as well? Probably as well. What is our responsibility or our role as educators in helping to, rebuild trust or to rebuild or develop, those soft skills or the characteristics of your empathy, humility, trust. I suppose for me, it goes back to culture again. We all come from a family of origin and a culture of origin as well. We're different. We have different values, different worldviews, and how we interpret other people's values can be tricky as well, which is, we've heard that a few times in the past couple of hours as well. So, whatever I say, I realize that I'm saying this from my cultural background as well. But yeah, so my understanding of how I approach my role as a language teacher now is what I said before. It's in terms of, I am helping my students grow in their ability to participate in their host worlds. Now that's in terms of language. So we want to think about the words we use. What words am I helping my students to understand so that they can use them in the host world? What ways, their behaviors are they using? Their understandings of culture and rituals, ceremonies, how to cross a road, how to cross a busy road in one culture is very different from another. Can, end up getting you killed if you do it the wrong way. But then another thing as well is the attitudes. I want to help my students grow in their ability to exhibit certain what's the word, attitudes, such as, trust, building trust. Is trust even important? Obviously you think it is, and I think it is too. But helping people to see, okay, why is trust important? And then how do we develop that? And I'd go back once again to the thing of relationships. Like, for me, why do I want to learn this Llyod language? Why do we even want to learn a language in the first place? I want to learn a language because it's connected to a person, because it's connected to a culture. The language is cool, fine, but the people who use that language, that's who I want to, I want to grow my ability to engage with them. And, the amount of help that I've received because I have been intentionally growing into this Llyod world has been life-giving. I would say focus on relationships, and that's what builds the trust, perhaps. It's a very hard question to answer. I would say focus on relationships, focus on their understanding. If we understand each other, if we're in a relationship, trust comes through time spent in relationships, perhaps. There's my opinion.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Michael.
Arthur.
Yeah.
Good to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
Okay. Thank you, Michael, for your explanation. So yeah, I think relationship is important, and understanding each other is also important to maintain the relationship between the teacher and the students. So right, we have the next question from Llyod Muhammad Arkiman. Please go ahead. Llyod Muhammad Arkiman, silahkan pertanyaannya.
Curiosity. Hello, my name is Llyod Muhammad Arkiman.
Okay, maybe okay.
I am 6th semester student at
Go ahead.
Ikhsanuddin University. I would like to ask a question to Mr. Michael.
Yes.
Mr. I would like to ask about life and opportunities in Australia. I see that many people move to Australia for work and study because of the opportunities there. How is the current condition and lifestyle for newcomers in Australia? Besides the we have a program, are there any other pathways for Indonesian to study, work, or build a career in Australia? Dan menurut Mr. Australian accent, apakah menjadi kendala besar bagi newcomers atau pendatang baru?
Oke, terima kasih. Arkiman. Oke, saya langsung menjawab ya. Jadi saya pakai bahasa Indonesia mungkin atau bahasa Inggris. Bahasa Inggris, tapi nanti kalau ada mau klarifikasi bisa juga. So, I've been living in Indonesia for 5 years. I don't really know what the state of Australia is anymore. A lot has changed, probably. I'm sure it has. And it's very hard for me, honestly, to give advice about what's the best way to get into Australia as a Indonesian person. yeah, beasiswa or yeah, job pathways, because I'm an Australian person and I don't need to apply for those scholarships for those types of things. So I'm sorry, my apologies. Maybe I can't give you a good answer for that. However, I would say that, yeah, it's really, really important to, if you want to prepare to go to Australia for study, perhaps, you know, you can start doing that now, you know, by focusing on growing in your ability to participate fully. You know, a TOEFL test or an IELTS test, you know, that's important for getting into university. But is it going to help you to, you know, develop friendships in Australia? Probably not. I'm so thankful that I've got good friends here in Baubau, and that's what's helped me to stay and be sustainable. You know, without relationships, life isn't really worth living that much, to be honest. So yeah, getting into the university, if you work hard, get your good grades, find the right scholarship, that's probably the easy part. The hard part is how to live life well once you're there. Maybe I would say, I think, do I say Dr. Halim? I'm not sure, but Halim would probably be in a much better position to answer that question about how to get scholarships and those kind of pathways than me. Last thing, I have heard that the Australian accent is harder to understand than an American accent, probably because we hear American accents a lot more in mainstream media. Jadi ya, minta maaf kalau ya bahasa Inggrisku sedikit sulit untuk dipahami, but hopefully, yeah, that's why listening well. We listen with an accent. The more we spend time with people, the more we tune in to their accents. So it's all about, yeah, focusing on the person, because that person is the thing that's attached to the culture, that's attached to the language. So focus on the person. Yeah. Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Michael. Yes, I also think that Aussie accent is a bit different with American accent, and I love that accent also. Like, so addictive to hear like someone use Aussie accent. So thank you for your insightful explanation, Mr. Michael. Next, we move to another question from Saifullah Unidayan. Pak Saifullah, please go ahead.
Test. Am I
Yes.
clearly audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Sorry if I sound a bit disturbing because I'm having a flu. Okay, thank you very much. Before I begin, I would like to express my greatest appreciation to the head of English Master's Program of the Ikhsanuddin University, Ms. Nani Cahyani, and then the Director of Postgraduate Programs, Professor Dr. Andi Tenri. I think he also joins this webinar. And I would also like to express my appreciation to all the distinguished speakers, yeah, in this webinar. And also to Mr. Halim, yeah, it's truly an honor to meet you again, Mr. Ali, Ph.D., yeah. You're my senior, yeah, at University of Llyod. Although I think you may not remember me, we actually met during Indonesian Students Exchange Program in like 10 years or 12 years ago. In 2014, you are one of the jury members. I would like also to greet Mr. Michael. Good evening, mate. How are ya? That's an Australia accent, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'm trying my best because even American still cannot understand Aussie accent. That's why Australian accent is very hard. Yeah. And we have met several times before at Dayanu Ikhsanuddin University, sir. And it's a pleasure to meet you again in this academic forum. And to Ms. Anam, PhD, nice to meet you. And it's a very great opportunity to learn from your presentation, especially about linguistics and identity, if I'm not mistaken. And then to my beloved students, yeah, I'm truly proud of you all who are serving as a moderator in this international webinar. Your fluency, your confidence, your professionalism in using English show that you guys have a tremendous potential to become a great educators, to great leaders in education, to be whatsoever you want to be in the future. Yeah. And then before I jump to my question, let me introduce myself. My name is Saifullah, and I'm the teacher at Dayanu Ikhsanuddin University, especially at English Education Study Program. My question actually are related to the topic from Mr. Halim, PhD, and Mr. Michael or Pak Michael, especially about communication between teacher and students. I'm an educator, and also we have a students here, so maybe they can learn from my questions. In the context of maybe high context or low context or value, feedback, communication or whatsoever. So Indonesia is considered to be in a high context culture, like Mr. Halim have just said before. Communication in Indonesia tend to be indirect. Yeah, too many sopan santun, harmony and politeness are prioritized. Students might avoid openly disagreeing with the teachers. You know, they are afraid of teachers, to be honest. Yeah. Meanwhile, on the other hand, in the Western academic traditions or cultures or views, they are in a low context where they are direct in argumentation. They are more explicit when they want to express their opinions. And then they are more critical, yeah, to debate, even with the teachers. They also question the teacher openly. That's my experience also when I pursue my postgraduate program in Australia. So just say, for example, in Indonesian context, when the teacher said, apakah Anda setuju dengan pendapat saya? Do you agree with my explanation? Maybe some of the Indonesian students could say, yes, I do. Of course, I do. Maybe some of them remain silent. Maybe some of them show certain disagreement. And then maybe, of course, some of them avoid to criticize the teachers directly, even though maybe in their head, they have some disagreements. Yeah. So I have two questions for Mr. Halim and Mr. Michael. The first question is, in a high context societies like Indonesia, where harmony and indirect communication, like too much respect to the elders, are culturally valued, how can we, yeah, as teachers, as my student future teachers or educators, to encourage the critical inquiry, yeah, from the students, to voice their opinions critically, to voice without any anxiety from them. So how to do that? My second question is, in a country like Japan, China, or even Taiwan, I think they also maintain high context value, just like Indonesia. But however, they still achieve a very great or strong educational outcomes. Yeah. But in Indonesian context, or yet in Indonesian context, we still like struggle to achieve that kind of thing, or even a little bit below level from those countries. So what pedagogical factors, in your opinion, that really cause this kind of thing, and what we have to deal with in order to be like them, like China, Japan, and Taiwan? maintaining the high context value, but we can still achieve a very good outcome in education. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Bapak, for joining us tonight, and also for your good question. So the question is refers to Mr. Michael and Pak Halim. So the first question is about how we as a teachers to encourage critical inquiry from students to voice opinion without any anxiety. Is it right? And also the second question is how we Indonesian that have high strong value can get the strong education outcomes such as Taiwan and other countries because we still have a struggles to get the kind of thing. So for Mr. Michael and Pak Halim, please answer the question.
Okay, it's raining cat and dog over here. You can hear that. So because if I use this, then it's gonna distract my voice. So then I hope I am still audible. Yeah, right. So the question is so tough. And then I hope I can, respond it. My first response is culture is created for survival. No matter how it looks like, it's been maintained for survival. So if we consider that we are living in high context culture, because there's a reason behind that. And none of the culture is bad. Every culture is good, okay? So that is the so-called cross-cultural communication, cross-cultural understanding come as a bridge to settle the issue, okay? So to answer your question, the first question, I don't know if I can make it, but then I'll bring you an example of, a case in Japan. So a professor from America came to Japan and then had a great presentation, a professor. And then at the end of the presentation, the professor asked, do you have any questions? And then the professor repeated, do you have any question? And then none of the students want to say something. They just say like this, like staring to the professor. So the professor feel embarrassed and said, am I too stupid or complicated in explaining my material or what? So after 3 times fail attempts to, to engage the student with a question. So a Japanese, friends, say like this, can I help you? So then the Japanese just look at the eyes, read the air, and then after that, just pinpointing a couple of students and say, do you have question? And they say yes. And then, do you know what's surprise? Even they are so quiet because, they know the culture, how to reveal the answer from the student. And then the student ask a wonderful question, okay? So the student know what to do. It's just cultural values cover up their, expression. So then looking at this case, I think the first one, if really want to help the student to be critical, then firstly, you need to understand their cultural background first. And then, for example, in the class, if you want to ask them, don't see them because they are quiet, but approach them as a human. And after that, we call that read the air. Read the air means read the environment. And then after that, don't justify the action as approval for you to justify that they cannot answer. So in Japan, you need to look at the eyes. If they look at you and then they, they smile, that probably the hints for the student to be able to talk. So the question, if the teachers maintain their hierarchical status, that if they are so quiet, then they say, okay, these students are useless. And so this is actually the first answer. You won't help them to be critical because you bring your own status as a teacher without understanding the the cultural values behind that. And so if you understand that, another one, students are very lazy. Sometimes you will find it in your class. And if you understand the culture, how to deal with that, for example, the one that I am researching now, if they are late, then I go and I open the door for them and say, hey, come in, and then do you want to have a seat here? So I will not say like, why you're late. I will not ask anything because I know this is, cultural. There's a cultural place in the lateness of the student. It's not because the student's aiming to be late. And then after that, I will have personal discussion and say, oh, maybe you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. So if we can see the problem genuinely as objective, not as a subjective, as Michael mentioned, then you can finally find that all problems can become actually a source of information for you of how you can upgrade the student to the higher level. Even sometimes it will take a lot of time. For me, it will just fine because the aim of the teaching, it's not a quick result, but then how they can understand what they are learning, and then they value that what I am doing, that this is for my life and then for other humans. So I think if I can summarize my first answer for the first question is just try to understand what is behind of the quietness, of the lateness, of the not punctual or whatever, because a high context culture, after searching and digging more, there is quite a lot of mysterious which actually they are intelligent, but because we mistreat this culture, it becomes not so not showing a good result. Yeah, which I think this is the issue in education, because they are focusing on what they are teaching, but then they are not. I'm not saying that they are not, but then less attention to the the cultural values, because culture is it's a mental program. So it's a mental program we have, then we will decide which one is good, which one is bad. So then the decision to tell student if they don't answer is bad, it's just your mental program. But then if you go deeper, then you can find out maybe there's an issue within that you can help. That's my answer for the first question. And then maybe Michael, would you like to add?
Halo, Assalamualaikum, Pak.
Thank you so much, Sir Halim. Now, I would like to invite Sir Michael to answer the participants' question.
Okay, thank you. Now, I'm going to respectfully not answer this because I don't think I have, honestly, I don't think I have the the knowledge or the background to answer this well. But I will say that, Pak Saifullah, I think you are the expert here. How to develop critical thinking skills in, high context cultures like Indonesia, how to, get the results that, some of these cultures like Japan, China, how to get those results in Indonesia. I'm not the person to be answering those questions. I think, you are so much more the expert here. Using your knowledge of your own culture to kind of hack the system. I wonder how that could be done. So, wonderful question. And I respectfully say, I'm sure you can do a much better job of answering that than I can. Thank you.
Can I just
Thank
go
you
to
so
the
much.
second question? Because
Maybe, Pak Michael, you can compare with your experiment when you was in junior high school, like you see the teacher, how they teach, how the students respond, that kind of thing maybe. Just compare to when you were in Indonesia right now.
Yeah. So I suppose, yeah, as we know, these generalizations about cultures are generalizations as well. And I think some of my teachers in high school, in university as well, some of them were very much, happy to be best buddies with you and, have conversations in a very informal way. Now, there were some as well who were very much, they were the authoritarian figure in the classroom, and we had to say, yes, sir, no, miss, okay. I think, yeah, I think the person that I most learnt my critical thinking skills from was my modern history teacher in high school. And why did why did I learn so much from her about critical thinking? She modeled it to me. It wasn't, that she taught me these skills or she taught me the right things about it. It wasn't that she just took the information from her head and said, here's critical thinking skills, do it. But I saw her modeling it in front of me. She gave me some tools, some skills over a period of 2 years. That time factor is really important. So, are we modeling these skills to our students, and showing them when we're, showing them the struggles as well. Oh, this is really hard for me. Here's how I'm overcoming it. I think modeling those skills over time would be my response. I think, yeah, Halim had one other thought as well.
Right. Yeah, I think what you answered, Michael, was very good. I'm just going to go to the second question, which is Japan, China, they are high context culture like Indonesia, but then they're much better doing in academic stuff compared to Indonesian. Don't take my answer as the truth, but I will give you my perspective because I've been there, and then I notice what makes it different from us. Okay, so the first one is the reading habit. So Taiwan, I'm not sure China, but I live in Taiwan for 3 years. Reading is priority. And then the focus of reading is not reading for answering the question, but then reading for understanding for life. Like you need to get the message of what you read, so then you can use the knowledge of what you read for your life. So then the basic principle of education is knowledge. So knowledge can operate your language, knowledge can operate everything. So even though like you can speak very fluent English, but if you don't have knowledge, how can you can talk about anything? So then the basic idea is what makes them much better than us is that the cultivation of reading habits in an early age. Okay, and then the second one is, in Taiwan, like punctual and responsibility is part of early childhood education. So early childhood education is part of responsibility of the government. So the government can control like from the baby, the mothers gave birth, because my wife gave birth there. So then everything is controlled by the government. For example, what the baby should eat, how the baby should be treated, because they think that the early education, the early childhood education in family determine whatever so-called education in later age. All right. So I think other than that, we're all the same. Like we have teachers in the class, we have a discussion, but then because the notion of nurturing responsibility and punctuality, and then things like that has been instilled in the students, so then they feel that whatever they do is they are responsible. And then in addition for that, they are more, prioritizing, practical knowledge. Like for example, from elementary school or preschool, they have been introduced what to do in life. Like for example, hairdresser, cooking or whatever, it's been the practices of the education. So then when they, graduate from a preschool, they know what to do. They're not depending on their parents. So in comparison to Indonesia, I think I'm not, judging that Indonesian bad, but as my neighbor here, even now they are high school, they still ask for their parents to cook for them. They are very dependent, okay? They cannot stand on their feet. So I think, again, we need to see not only the education at high school, junior high school, and university, but we need to go back to family as the foundation of the education itself. That would make more different compared to treating at earlier stage. And the last one, helping the family to have better education, that would create, a change. Yeah, I'll say, that would be the agent of change, right? So the future, even though it's kind of long to attain that, but then if collectively all families started to educate, to understand what is the principle of learning, then gradually we can attain the so-called a better nation. Okay, so thank you very much. That's my answer.
Thank you so much for all the ideas that coming from you all are really constructive one, and there are really provoking talks. But we move to the last question, and to use time effectively. To Sartika, please go ahead with your question.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for the chance is given to me. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. My question for the first speaker, Ms. Anam, from what you, hello, Mrs. Anam. Hello. Mrs. Anam, from what you have explained, I can say that literature can be integrated into teaching and can be used to question social injustice. My question, how can we teach literature in a way that really empowers students to think critical about social injustice? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the nice question. Now let's hear the speaker response. For Ma'am Anam, do you get the question? The question is about how can teach literature in a way that really empowers students. Madam, the time is yours.
Okay. Thank you so much for the question. I feel one of the ways to tackle this topic would be that if we are, let's say, reading any text in the classroom, there's any text in the syllabus that is being read. So what we can do is that, because I am a student of literature, I come from a literature background. So my understanding of that would be that the time has gone when, we are taking theories from the Western world and then putting it into the Eastern world, trying to understand our situation. That doesn't work anymore. It's time to change the paradigm in a sense that the location, the culture that we are addressing, we need to first understand the cultural context or the location of production of that text itself, because that has a lot of bearing on the understanding. I'll just give you a personal example that I also sort of used in my research or thesis, because I worked on the idea of place identity. So what I was proposing is that the idea of place identity is a very organic form of identity that sort of connects people belonging to the same geographical location. Just for example, you all are Indonesians belonging to the different parts of Indonesia, different islands. So each region has its own different identity. So what is that connects you all? So I was interested in that area. So I think we need to unearth writers, philosophers, academicians from every context that we are teaching, because an insider's perspective is sometimes very illuminating. We as foreigners might be able to unearth the culture up to a certain extent, but as an insider who have lived that culture for years, their understanding is much, much more deeper. So I feel like if we are dealing with any text, we need to figure out theorists, philosophers, writers from that region itself, which is a hard task because those are not listed easily in the canon, in the standard modern canon. So but that requires a lot of research as well, I feel. So there's a lot of opportunity of work in that domain. Yeah. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Anam, for your really insightful answer. It, Ma'am Sat objection. Okay. Thank you very much. This question also marked the end of our Q&A session. Thank you for all the question and for the speaker to answer the question really insightful. Now I would like to hand the session back to the Master of Ceremony for the continuation of the program. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much to our extraordinary resource speakers, Dr. Anam, Mr. Abdul Halim, and Mr. Michael, and also our excellent moderators, Shifa, Afrianti, and Resti. Thank you so much for the wonderful discussion and insightful presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, before we closing today's webinar, we would like to invite the HOD Postgraduate Program of Unidayan, our judges, Ma'am Nani Cahyani, M.Hum Ph.D. Do you want to say something, ma'am?
Oh, okay.
Okay, the time is yours.
Yeah. I just like wanna thanks to you all, guys, beyond words, because really this is a really amazing one, inspiring one, and then it's really, I'm really so sure that everyone really get something new, something knowledgeable from you all, and yeah, so actually behind the screen there are a lot of things happening, but it's part of learning. We are really sorry if there is like kind of things that probably is not suit your expectation, but really what we really do right now to build conversation, because we feel that like lacking of conversation happening right now around the world. And I think this is one of the great things to build connection between all of us. And then I think if the student not follow this brilliant webinar, brilliant event like this, that's really, I cannot say anything but just like, oh my goodness, guys, this is really rich things that you get. I can say it's more than dollar actually. Anyway, this is only my character. I always smiling in everything, in everything. And thank you for all our official partners, Rumah Edukasi, MGMP teachers in Buton Selatan, yeah, and also for Rumah Edukasi dan Wisata. Terima kasih juga untuk Halim Bubu, Alterasi, Angin Alterasi, Interkultural Edukasi Partner, Ibu Kero, Pak Michael, Ibu Titin, Yunan, Pak Afrian, Ibu Esther, all of you there. You are guys really rock. I'm so happy to know you all. And for Kakak Halim, for my very best friend Anam, my sister, who really in my hardest time in India. She's always there to help, and we have so many fruitful discussion. And also Pak Michael, thank you Pak Michael. Untuk Pak Jasir dari Unidayan juga terima kasih. Ibu Prof, terus Prof. Andre Tentri, Direktur Pasca, mungkin ada juga Ibu Astir, Asdir 2, Ibu Rahmawati, thank you so much. And untuk semua, for all the MC and moderators, what I can tell you all for the audiences, actually this is very first time for the students to handle the program as the MC and as the moderators. It's really a big task and big responsibility. So I really have a great respect for those students who we actually selected from some student, and we discussed this with Ibu Yuli, the secretary of the study program, and we come up the idea to bring the student to be involved, to own the program, to own the event, because this is their own turn, not our turn anymore, because we are also teachers, just to encourage them, because let them to have to own the stage. That's the point. So what I really want to say, I think let's fall in love every day, no matter what the things happening. So make sure we are fall in love every day, because through that way we learn to be a human being, and we make the humanity alive through fall in love. So having hopes, having love, that's the way to make the humanity alive. So that's what I'm saying. Thank you so much. Yeah, so that's all I think for all the master program students, and also the head of study program, I think from English study program, Pak Bahar, Pak Barudin, terima kasih juga untuk Ibu Sanaria, who also join us, and Pak Saifullah, Pak Rizal, the assist. I think so many names to mention. Anyway, thank you a lot. Yeah, that's all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yeah, MC, you can take it. You can take
Thank you
back.
very much for the meaningful remarks, Ma'am Neni. Ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the end of today's international webinar, on behalf of the organizing committee, we would like to express our sincere gratitude to all honorable speakers, collaborators, invited guests, and all participants for your presence and active participation. We would also like to express our sincere gratitude to the media and IT team of Unidayan and Buton Pos for their support and coverage of tonight's event. Thank you for your dedication and contribution in helping document and publish this international webinar. We sincerely hope that this webinar has provided meaningful insights and inspiration for all of us in developing critical, transformative, and engaging educational practices. We apologize for any shortcomings throughout the event, and I would like to thank you all once again for your attention and participation. Terima kasih, thank you so much, and syukriya. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace be upon you all. Have a wonderful day. Stay healthy, keep learning, and see you in our future academic events. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
Bye-bye.